All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for your patience. Welcome to Politics and Prose. I'm Brad Graham, the co-owner of the bookstore, along with my wife, Lisa Muscatine, and we're very pleased to have with us Tamika Mallory, who's here to talk about her very moving memoir, I Lived to Tell the Story, a memoir of love, legacy, and resilience. Tamika, as I'm sure many of you are aware, if not all of you, has been a force in the social justice and civil rights movements for more than 2 decades now, working to protect others against racial discrimination, gun violence, and threats to their gender and bodily autonomy. She served as the youngest ever executive director of the National Action Network, and in 2017, she co-chaired the largest women-led protest in American history, the Women's March here in Washington. In the book that she wrote that came out 4 years ago, State of Emergency, she argued for more to be done to combat racial injustice. Her new memoir recounts how she actually ended up devoting her own life to social activism. It begins with a very frank account of her rocky childhood in New York City, marked by emotional and physical abuse. She was 18 and a high school dropout when she gave birth to her son Tariq, and 2 years later, the boy's father was murdered by people who thought he had stolen drugs from them. But by then, Tamika had found work, first with an activist lawyer, and then as an executive assistant with the National Action Network. It was at that time, she writes, that she resolved to develop the tools to become a civil rights advocate and started learning to be more assertive, to volunteer for projects, and to network with others. She also resolved to go back to school and enrolled in a program that enabled her to earn a GED and college credit simultaneously. She graduated at age 25 with a Bachelor of Arts degree with honors. That was nearly 2 decades ago, and her story since has been one of advocating for justice, campaigning against gun violence and unfair policing, and comforting victims of abuse and injustice, all while trying to strike the right personal balance between excelling at her job and being a mother to Tariq. No stranger to controversy, she addresses in her book the criticism that she drew some years ago for associating with Louis Farrakhan and his Nation of Islam, which prompted accusations against her of being anti-Semitic. The attacks deeply upset Tamika, and she describes becoming too dependent on pills, then entering rehab. After a time, she emerged very much herself again and went back to work, co-founding a new social justice organization, Until Freedom. As Tamika writes, while her previous book had described her prescription for healing America, this memoir is her prescription for healing herself and hopefully will contribute to helping all of us heal ourselves. A conversation with Tamika will be, well, we know that at least she'll be in conversation with April Ryan, who is a veteran journalist and now the Washington bureau chief for Black Press USA. And we are still hoping for DC's former First Lady, Cora Masters Berry, who may show up. She's on the way. So we'll look forward to applauding her and greeting her when she comes. Anyway, at this time, please join me in welcoming Tamika and April.
Good evening. All right, we can do better than that. You waited. Good evening.
Good evening.
You have expectancy this evening, right? Yes. Come on now. That yes sound like it was a DMV yes, not a New Yorker yes. Well, first of all,
Want to start already?
girl, I'm ready to start. Because there's so much going on right now, and right for such a time as this, I live to tell the story. A memoir of love, legacy, and resilience. The power of a Black woman is something that's inspiring. And don't laugh at her, she's right. The power of a Black woman, and this Black woman has been through so much and still young enough to keep forging ahead and breaking barriers. She made us say her name. in COVID. What she made us. Let me go back to that. She made us say her name. Okay. 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 Wait a minute. Thank you. She made us say her name. Thank you. She took up residency in what state?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Hold your mic up.
Louisville, Kentucky.
She took up residency in Louisville, Kentucky, fighting the Attorney General. What was his name?
Daniel Cameron.
They know.
I had some other names for him, but
I know.
nice here.
We know.
Nice bookstore.
It's a very nice bookstore.
It is.
It's the nation's premier bookstore. Yes. Every author is not given the opportunity to be here. Mm-hmm. And Brad and Lissa, his wife, own this and run this. And this is one of the premier bookstores in the nation. So being here and talking with my dear friend Tamika Mallory is not only a pleasure and an honor, but it's history here at Politics and Prose. So let's start with it, my sister. Tamika, you start off as a young girl whose parents are no justice, no peace. Mm-hmm. Yes. However, you are that girl who played with dolls with kente cloth. Yeah. Right? You know, so you started off. You started off the bat like, hey, you came out the womb.
Yes, absolutely. My aunt is here in the back. She knows that was us. Kente cloth dolls.
Yes, kente cloth dolls. Yes. And now we are searching for those kente cloth dolls, aren't we? Right. Because we are woke people. And they try to take away everything from us, our history, our culture, just the essence of who we are. But tell me who you were back then.
Well, first of all, thank you all so much for waiting. I appreciate you so much for accommodating us and having this event here today. I came from New York. Y'all know travel woes. I told my
Did
folks,
you fly?
Yeah. And
Did you pray?
I didn't pray until the plane was landing. As it was getting ready to land, I was like, oh, easy. But, we did fly in today. And as you all know, the weather, this is a cold winter. And it's
windy.
Yeah, it's windy. It's cold. And so we had some delays today, for several hours waiting in the airport to get here. But we made it. And I'm so excited that I was able to get here with you all. Tomorrow we were supposed to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it has been canceled or rescheduled because they're having like 12 inches of snow and ice, and it was going to be -2 degrees. So it is what it is. But, anyway.
But we're here tonight.
Well, we are here, and I am so grateful to each one of you for being here and staying and waiting for me to come. It was not Black people time. I was really in the airport. Really.
They were talking about you because they pointing at each other. And wait a minute, hold on. Let's pause for a minute. With her mink coat walking in, Peter, I don't care about you. I got one too. Let's honor Cora Mastersberry. Yes.
Mice, can you take her coat?
Madam First Lady, have a seat.
You can give
we are serious here tonight. Okay, so and unfortunately they called me into MSNBC. I was like, I got to do Tamika. They said, well, you can make it.
Well, you made it.
I did.
Before me.
Yeah.
So you was on the right time.
Yes,
all right.
We were.
So there we go.
All right.
We got that out the way. Now, she might be on Black people time, though. Corberry, why you say? I was at the airport. What's your story?
Anybody here ever heard of Blacks and Wax?
Yes, in Baltimore, Great Blacks and Wax Museum.
The production we've been doing for 20 years at the Kennedy Center.
That's right.
Anybody been to the Kennedy Center? Everybody seen Blacks and Wax? Well, then you should see it this year.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about
what I have been doing is taking us out of the Kennedy Center.
Oh,
yeah, that's what she's been doing.
I've been fighting the fight. Okay?
I think this is a whole resistance tonight. Yeah. It's a whole resistance movement tonight.
So I was asked about my childhood.
Yes.
Who was I? I talked too much from the time that I was a little girl. That was the thing I was known for, being too talkative. And as a young girl, my parents, and I always tell them that they were just straight hypocrites, right? Because they had me going to rallies and on all of these Black empowerment empowerment spaces where I was learning to be strong and to speak out. And if you see something, say something, and Black power, you know. So I was like all into that. Then I would go to school in a Catholic school and they would be like, just go there, be quiet, don't say anything. Just do. I'm like, this is mad hypocritical here because, like, you know, I see stuff. And so I was the kid who would not only speak out about things that I saw in school, and it's in the book. I talk about some painful experiences that I went through as a child who was darker skinned. And I grew up in New York. You know, I don't know about everywhere else, but in New York, the Latino community and the Black community live in the same buildings on the same floor. We face one another. We eat the food. We smell the food. We know all the things, and we play together. And so I was a darker skinned Black girl with pigtails, coarse hair, no perm, and they were nice, you know, hair long and straight.
What's
and
nice hair?
I mean, just
Any
that's
hair
what they
is
thought.
nice
That's
hair.
what they thought. But I love my hair now. But I didn't love it at that time. I'm just telling you what I was when I was young. Okay. So, you know, they had the nice hair and it was slicky and they were, you know, different skin tone, lighter than me. And they were treated different. And the nuns and other people in the school, they made it very clear that they didn't like me particularly because they knew my parents were super Black. My parents came to school with the kente cloth on. They had dashikis on. They would come to if I knew when I was that age what that would do to me, I would have said, please don't wear that stuff to school, because it really did create resentment with the staff. And when my parents weren't looking, they mistreated me. But I would speak up about it. I would be like, I saw this. And I'm going to speak up not just for myself, but my friend and her friend and even people I didn't like. And then I would say, well, go get the principal because, you know, we should all discuss it. And then I would be like, and why are you lying, Miss Teacher? Because, oh, excuse me, Johnny, didn't you hear what she said? And so I was like the troublemaker.
You were really in trouble.
I was a problem person.
Were you in detention a lot?
They didn't have detention at that time, but I tell you who had detention: Von Still and Stanley Mallory. Because when I got to the house, it was more than detention at the house, honey. I got in trouble a lot, and my parents would say, "Could you please just go to the school and just focus and just do what they tell you to do?" And I'm like, I don't really understand that because you're saying do what they tell you to do, but then on the other side, we're saying we ain't gonna let white folk tell us what to do. So
do as I say, not as I do.
Well, okay. Well, I didn't understand that at the time, but I surely got it when my son got to be school age. And so, you know, so I was very talkative, and my parents tried to help me control it, but I didn't know at that time. And as I got older, my mouth got me in a lot of trouble, which is what they were ultimately trying to tell me. And when I say trouble, I don't mean just a matter of being in school and, you know, being a little girl, but talking too much, gossiping, being, you know, cool with the wrong people and always wanting to be friends with everybody. And it just took me down roads that got me in a lot of trouble, and it made my parents really suffer. They struggled a lot dealing with me as a young kid.
So you went through the bad boy syndrome like the average young girl. You went through the bad boy syndrome after your parents were really just trying to give you a good life so you can go off and do good things, not be that rebel rouser that you are now.
Exactly. But now, I mean, people pay me to speak. So you know, it worked out in the end.
But at what cost?
Oh, okay. Sometimes I don't know, because this is my mentor over here, and I try to be quiet, and she'd be like, why didn't you say it the way I told? Don't say it your way. Say it how I told you. I'm like, I definitely can't say it how you told me to say it.
And, you know, and I can see that because Cora Masters Berry most recently, when we had the voting rights, and I want to brag on her myself. She is a legend. She's legacy for us. She is Black history walking. She touched my heart when during the Biden administration, when we were losing our voting rights. Remember that? When they didn't want to reauthorize voting rights. And Cora Masters Berry, the First Lady, along with the then head of the Congressional Black Caucus, Joyce Beatty, and other congressional leaders, marched. You were there too, weren't you? Yeah.
I was there.
They marched. They marched in the Senate office building, singing songs of Zion and civil rights anthems. And they were jailed. And when she came out, because you were the one texting me, that's right, that's right. Because when she came out, she said she was crying because I didn't believe that we would have to go through this again. Crying, jailed in that little lockup downtown. And Tamika was like, I'm gonna make sure everything's okay. She wanted the news to be out there. That's Tamika. I'm gonna make sure, right? You know,
I did the head movement.
yeah, yes, I'm gonna make sure, sis. You know, that's who Tamika is. You know, and then this ethereal, wonderful woman who's the keeper of our history is going to jail, and she's mentoring Tamika. And let's fast forward to this mentorship. The Women's March. Harry Belafonte, yes, Mr. Dale, God rest him, our ancestor. He helped fund that Women's March, and he also gave his office for the women to meet. And this Women's March, this woman here mentored this woman to speak for the women who needed power.
Well, not really.
Okay.
I actually was convinced by her to get involved because most of the black women said, no, it's a white girl thing. We're not doing it. And she and a couple others, especially she. I was in Florida. I have a condo in Florida. I was having a good time. It was January. I'm sitting on my balcony looking over at the ocean. It can be there in 5 seconds if I want to be. And she calling about, you got to come to the Women's March. I don't think so. But she convinced us. I got on a plane, and it was so interesting when I got to the gate. And I don't know how many of you have ever been to West Palm Beach Airport. It's a small airport. So when you get to the gate, you're almost like in your backyard or something. It was all these white women. And I'm sitting there saying, I'm going to kill Tamika. So I get there. We go to the Women's March. We support her. This is me, Melanie Camel. Where's Miss Mignon here? Yeah. Man, where's my? Okay, we'll get to her in just a second.
Mignon Moore.
She's really the dean of all of this.
Where's Mignon?
We all agreed to work with her. We're gonna give her. Because Mignon is,
okay.
Is our guy.
Let's stop for a minute.
Yeah.
Sister, please stand.
Yes.
Please, no. I need. We giving flowers all over the place. Stand up, Mignon. This woman, no. Mignon, I'm gonna ask you to stand because come on, Mignon. I'm gonna walk back there. You know me.
Oh, Lord.
All right, come on. There she goes. So we've got history in this room. That woman right there, she mentors Tamika.
And me.
Well, I think they all work together. But you don't know who this woman is. I've known her for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And when I was just a little reporter, knee-high to the whatever, she was there. Look, let me tell you what's going on. She kept me under her wing all these years. But let me tell you who this woman is. She has raised up a mighty generation of black politicians.
That's right. One of the colored girls.
Colored girls. She's one of the colored girls. They've written a book, and the book is here in this building. But let me tell you about the power of black women. See, the narrative, the reason why they go after you, is because you win. It's not because you lose. It's because you're too powerful. That's why they go after you. They go after you because you're too powerful. And this sister, let me tell you about her power. She has the ear of presidents of the United States. She has made presidents of the United States. And I don't care what you think about Kamala Harris, her policy or whatever, for a black woman to be in that position, to stand next to her, that's saying a lot. And then we love to see this cowrie shell wearing woman walk into inaugurations in different places. I'm talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson. That woman is the reason why Ketanji Brown Jackson is sitting on the U.S. Supreme Court right now. Mignon, thank you for all you have done for the community.
Since we're going to do this out of order, I'm just going to add to it while we're at it.
Please do.
The most important thing that we can all relate to. How many of you watched the Democratic National Convention?
That's right. That's
well,
right.
It's me. I did it. You forgot it. Let me handle
it. That's right.
So Was it not the baddest convention you have ever seen? It was produced to the T.
Yes, it was.
That girl put it on.
Yes.
Now that's what she did. And we might not never, and we won't never have another one. But Mignon put that one on.
Wait a minute.
It was thought out.
The Republicans lost their mind. Turned down for what? Georgia. Turned down for what? I was like, what is this? Everybody felt connected. And then Little John, let me tell you something. 2 nights after, Little John went in with Georgia, but he didn't have a seat. I brought him into the New York section. They're like, well, wait a minute, isn't he with Georgia? But that was a whole nother thing.
How did you get in the
Don't
New York
ask,
section?
don't ask.
I thought you said the DC.
No. I was pressed. I was with my cousin. It's a whole nother thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Right.
but no. But this is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. It's her. I want you. It's you. You off message.
Yeah, I'm off. That's right. Okay. But no. But this is.
book.
But it is her book. But listen,
It's
this
history in the room.
This is history in this room.
Yes,
This
yes.
is an understanding of who Black women are.
Yeah.
Not only the rise, but the struggles. And let's talk about those struggles because you have been in the forefront. People see you, you look beautiful, but they don't know the pain behind it. You know, Brad mentioned the issue of the Women's March. Talk to me about how you made through that. He brought up some names and some things, but how did you get through that?
Yeah. How did I get through the Women's March? My God, my God. Well, first of all, there are a number of people who held me down. And Mignon and Cora Berry are 2 individuals, but there were others. I don't know if you all know Melanie Campbell,
That's right.
Who's an amazing organizer and leader here in Washington, D.C. and across the country. And also Bishop Leah Daughtry,
That's right.
Another person that you should Google. We'll tell
Colored
that
Girls,
story
one of the
later.
Colored Girls.
Part of the Colored Girls. The Colored Girls. Donna Brazile and others stepped in to help me during the Women's March. And of course, my son who's here was the guy who was with me every day and who I would say to him, say nothing, my son. You're not a woman. Don't say anything. But finally, it got so bad till one day he was like, not today. I'm speaking today. I got some things. It was the same day. He was like, not today.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? This is important, seriously, because she gave her all. There were 4 women who led the Women's March. A white woman, Hispanic woman, a Palestinian woman, and a Black woman. That's exactly who led it. And they did a really great job. But after it was when stuff got really funky.
Yeah.
And right after it, she was a star. They gave her every award that anybody can give all year. And I called, the Congressional Black Caucus gave her the Phoenix Award. I mean, who gets a Phoenix Award before you're 90? So it was a great thing, but I wasn't happy about it.
Me either.
Because I said to her, because I know what I know, I've lived where I've lived. I said, you enjoy it, because when this year is over, all hell's going to break loose for you.
It's true. It's true. And it did. I mean, what we did with the Women's March, people have been asking me on this book tour, would I do it again? And the answer is yes. Knowing everything that I know, would I make some different decisions? Certainly. Would I be more strategic about how I engage with all the women, not just the white women? Because let's be clear that there were also Black and brown women who were very problematic. They wanted to be claimed. They wanted to be us, if you will. And they were, looking for it as an opportunity to help them with their careers. And so if they needed to side with women who were very toxic, they did that, and they were harmful to us. They would post things on social media, and to be honest with you, I'm not just saying this because it's me. I'm just telling y'all the truth, because who the hell cares at this point? There was a lot of lying. A lot of lying went on with the Women's March. People just making up stories of things that happened that never happened, that we said things in rooms that we never said. It was almost like we needed a video recorder. And I'm not a person that likes cameras because, I know how that can go also with people taping everything. But in hindsight, again, again, if I had to do it over, I would have a camera around at all times just to document and ultimately to produce our own documentaries and all of that. But we also needed to have a second account of what went on, because the stories that would come out afterwards is like, what are you talking about? Never happened. But they were able to do that. But that's the bad side. And there's more to talk about there. On the other side, what we were able to accomplish is amazing. We had 6 million people around the world.
That's right.
It was the single most powerful, most organized, and most attended march in American history. That's what we did on January 17th of 2017. And we had a group of individuals that worked 24 hours a day on shifts. So you could wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and there would be a team of people that were operating as if it was 9 a.m. They would sleep in the daytime and work throughout the night. That was the level of professionalism that we were able to coordinate in order to keep things going. Lots of people. And even though some of our experiences with white women was really, it was difficult, I would say that there were a lot of women, there were a lot of white women who gained a lot of knowledge, and they started to become way more engaged. They actually, at this point, I see some of them in the media, on their Instagram pages, and they are more well-versed than me sometimes. I'm like, well, where did you learn that at? They're like, well, when you told us to go Google it, they went and they Googled it and they did their research and they've read all these books, and it was worth it, because not all of the outcome was the unfortunate negative attacks and everything that we went through. We actually changed history. One of the most powerful things that came out of the Women's March to me, and I know this may be small to other people, but I remember standing on the stage with all of the mothers that we had attend, Sabrina Fulton,
Mothers of the movement.
Trayvon Martin's mother, and it was another number of people. I don't want to mess up and miss anyone. I'm not sure if Leslie was there, but nonetheless, a lot of the mothers were with us. We invited them, we brought them in, they were there. And Jordan Davis's mother, Congresswoman, what's her name? Lord help me. Lucia Macbeth. She was there. So she and I were on the stage talking, and she just was like, wow, this is so powerful. All the sea of women, you all know how amazing it was. And she said, I think I'm going to do something. She didn't tell me exactly what, but she has now since told me that she was inspired to run for office. And because of it, this is a regular mother who has experienced such tragedy with the loss of her son being killed by a man who said his music was too loud in Florida. And she decided she was going to take matters into her hands and run for office using the inspiration and the power of those women. And then she became a congresswoman, so
still a congresswoman,
to me, and still a congresswoman. So to me, that's the power of what we were able to accomplish, changing lives, bringing women together. And one of the biggest fights we had, I know I'm talking about we're going to get past this, but one of the biggest fights that we had, and I would say the biggest challenge, was that a lot of women, the white women especially, showed up because they believed that this was going to be a Hillary Clinton thing. Right? Like of course, that was right after Hillary didn't win the election, or she won the election, and whatever happened, we're not going to get into that tonight, but it's me, so I'm going to say my stuff. But anyway, so she didn't become president. And a lot of those white women got involved because they wanted to fight back against that. That was their cause. That was their issue, that they wanted Hillary Clinton to be at the helm of the march. They felt that this was supposed to be all about her. We were like, well, of course we voted for Hillary Clinton. We wanted her to become president. We knew she was obviously and absolutely more qualified than the man we got. However, this for us wasn't about Hillary Clinton. It was about fascism, racism, sexism, and we were really clear it wasn't even about Donald Trump. And that was real hard for them. They were like, what do you mean it's not about Donald Trump? Because it wasn't. It was an opportunity for us. And in hindsight, I guess they were right. We infiltrated because, they thought we were going to do this thing that would only focus on two figures and that we would talk about equal pay and abortion rights. And instead, we had women who had actually been convicted of killing somebody who assaulted them, sexually assault or other things, somebody who raped their child. We had them on the stage to speak that day about their experiences, not to promote any of that, but to talk about what they had been through and what it looked like to transform their lives. That was crazy. Organizing in that kind of way, people were like, what are y'all doing?
But shouldn't there have been an understanding at the very beginning as to the lanes that each would take?
We did do that. We had all of that. They forgot the lanes because their lane was to take over everything. And we were just the black people and the brown people that was supposed to have a notebook doing tasks. And we were like, no, we in charge. So we curated a program that would represent women of all kinds. And they did not want that. That's not what they wanted. And so, with that being said,
that's when the attacks came in.
That's when it started right there because they didn't like the fact that we were walking in the door with our power. They thought we were just some administrators, that we just knew how to do a march.
The help.
And they found out that we were bosses.
But let me say this though. But that was a moment when there was so much on the table. Right. Hillary Clinton was an issue. Why did she lose? Why was she attacked the way she was attacked? Then why were black women attacked the way they were? Why were we subservient to others in society? There were so many issues on the table. But I guess there wasn't enough room for all those issues.
Well, we tried. We studied Kimberly Crenshaw, Professor Kimberly Crenshaw. Mm-hmm. You all should look her up as well if you don't know who she is. She has a term that she sort of coined, but I've heard from others that it was said before her, but I learned it through Kimberly Crenshaw, which is intersectionality. And that was very helpful for us because I'm going to be very honest. We had our biases coming through the door. We were like police brutality, gun violence, the things that we work on every single day. That was top of mind for us. But we had to learn in order to widen and to expand the table to allow other people to bring their issues in and to figure out how we could make sure that it was a part of a massive platform. And we did that. But their issue wasn't that the platform didn't represent their issues. The issue for them was that they did not want us to control any of it. And they wanted to choose who would be the speaker, who would be the one to represent the categories. For them, they felt like we know more than you because we studied it in a book. Your lived experience is not important.
Okay, drop the mic. But it seems when the attacks on you started happening, that's when the momentum dwindled.
Yeah. Well, how did the National Rifle Association come forward?
The NRA, yes.
Yeah. So you see, you remember all the things.
Yeah, and it's in the book. It's in the book.
Yeah. That was a wonderful thing, though.
It is. Look, and so this lady over here, let me just tell you why she's so important to me. In addition to all the great things that you've heard about, who she is, and many of you know her, and her contributions to the city of DC, but beyond here in the city. One of the things that she does is mentor lots of young women. The only thing you need to know, though, is that her mentorship does not happen easily, kindly, or with kid gloves. She doesn't do kid gloves, okay? So when you call her up to tell her that something's happening in your life, what you are expecting or hoping to receive, and Mignon knows this, is someone who will say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Now, I will say during the Women's March, some things were so serious that we actually cried together because it was serious. But she cried for like 2 seconds and then turn into a beast. And I'd still be crying, by the way. And she'd be like, get your shit together. I'm tired of you crying. Don't call me back until you get yourself together.
Fight or flight.
Right. And I'm like, okay. She's like, don't you go out there looking all beat down. So I'm like, okay. Build me up. But anyway, So I call her up one day and I'm like, oh, they got me now. Now the National Rifle Association has put out an ad with my face in it where they were attacking all the social justice people and particularly the Women's March, but they used me as the face. Now, you know, as a Black woman, to be the one that is in an ad with guns involved, right? Like, let's just be clear about what this was. It was the National Rifle Association targeting Tamika D. Mallory, a little girl grew up in the projects who lived in the Bronx. Like, that's how I felt. Other people felt like it was leadership and that they were actually targeting someone who they believed to be very powerful. But I didn't see it that way because I'm just a human person trying to live my life. And now, because they start targeting me, all these phone calls are coming to my home. They're sending me pictures of my son's father in a body bag. I mean, it got really, really crazy. And I called this lady and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. They're going to kill me. I don't know what to do. And she's like, this is great. This is great. This is great. This is wonderful. And then another time I call her up and I'm like, that's it. It's 40 news.
Wait a minute, why was it great?
Wait, I'm about to tell you. Then another time there was like 40 paper articles out or news articles out about me at the same time. They all were saying I was finished. I was everything. I was anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQIA. Some Black women didn't like me. Everything, anything you could think of, they just threw it all at the wall. So I call her up and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I can't even breathe. Like, I don't know what to do. And I was really in a dark place. This lady says, how many articles? Wow, oh my God, this is really amazing. And I was like, and I told her, I got so upset in that conversation, I promised to never speak to her again. I was like, she's toxic, she's crazy. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, I'm trying to, I'm serious. Like, this is my life, right?
But
this lady, no, I just need to tell you what you said. Please. No. So she goes, because you know what? Of everything that you've done good, you'll never probably get the same type of press. But because they've decided to target you, you're all over the media. You got to learn how to flip it. And I was like, right. Oh, okay. It gave me a whole different perspective.
But it also meant that you had power.
That's right.
People don't waste ink on people who don't
Preach
matter.
That one.
They don't put you on an ad if you don't matter. What is my last name?
Barry.
I have a PhD in that.
Drop the mic, bam.
April, please.
All right. Yeah. I'm loving this conversation. But here's the piece though, and I want to move on because there are other parts of your life that I want to hit. But what happened? Let's get into this part with Nation of Islam head Louis Farrakhan. Mm-hmm. That's when the Jewish community was very upset with you.
Not everybody in the Jewish community.
But the thought of Louis Farrakhan to some is the world's worst thing,
right?
You know. But as a child, he was someone that your family had worked with for justice,
right?
For Black people.
Well, so my parents, as I said, they're super, super Black. They wear dashiki sweatsuits. So they're like, and if you say something Black is happening, they going. That's it. Still to right now. And so when we were young, if you know anything about Harlem in New York, everybody that was anybody in the movement was coming through Harlem, speaking at the mosque, speaking at Jacob Javits Center. At that time, the Nation of Islam used to pack the Jacob Javits Center with thousands of people. And my parents would go, they would take me anywhere. I was a little girl, so, they carried me along with them. And so I grew up going to anything, the church holidays, the National Action Network events, the conventions, and of course, the Savior's Day, the Nation of Islam's most holy day. And so one of the things that I was really concerned about was losing, allowing these white women to tell me who I am and where I could go. I was really concerned about that. I was like, I'm going the same place. Cause the black people was saying you over there with them white folk and you changed.
You hinkety.
Right. You
over
acting,
there, yeah.
you acting,
Okay.
you're acting different. Why you over there organizing with them? And I think a part of me, and this is the first time I ever said this, I probably was trying to prove myself that I have not changed, and I'm still gonna go to the same places, be in the same spaces that we went
Because
to
that was
as a
family
kid.
telling you that
yeah.
people who you love,
telling
you give
me
your heart to, and they're telling you, you're not one of us anymore.
yeah, what do you know?
So you went to Savior's
So
Day.
I went to Savior's Day.
Thank you for getting us back on track.
So
I'm a teacher.
So I went. So this every day, I call her up to tell her a story. She be like, "Get to the part." So anyway,
You understand what she's talking about now. Go ahead.
So I went to Savior's Day, and in fact, my mother said to me, it's actually on tape, it's on camera during the documentary that's out about my life. It's called This Is Personal, and I don't know where it is. They've seen to bury it, so you can't really find it anymore. But nonetheless, my mom says to me, while I'm on my way to the airport, this is after the second march. So this is after Las Vegas, where in my speech, I say to the white women, don't come around us with your pink pussy hats on, telling us that you're with us. You need to get out in these streets, right? So I'm like really just lost my mind, just saying anything. And when I came off the stage, my son and Linda Sarsour was like, you did it this time. You definitely did it this time. So they were obviously watching me. I get on the plane. No, my mom says to me in the car, maybe you shouldn't go to Savior's Day this year. She said, maybe you just shouldn't go this year. Just one year.
That's
just
wisdom.
skip it.
She saw it.
My mom, she knows everything. That's when they ask me, what's the one thing I would tell young girls? Your mother knows everything. And so I said, and I go back, you know how we do. I pop right off. Mom, what are you talking about? Nobody's going to tell me where I could go because I'm going wherever I want to go. You know, all of that. She like, okay.
You found out, though. You found out.
Okay. So, I got off the phone with her. I went to Savior's Day, and Minister Farrakhan, everybody else was there. By the way, celebrities, everybody was there, as usual, full of folk. Minister Farrakhan said, and did you see what the women did? The women are organizing, and Tamika Mallory is here, stand up. And they put every TV in the stadium up on the screen with me standing there. So
and that was the end of her life as she knew it.
Right, and it
for
changed.
At least a whole year.
Exactly. Well, no, still today I had somebody tell me So anyway.
Got bad.
And so then when I left there, and got, after the event was over, I got on a plane and the tweets started coming through. Jake Tapper was the first person to tweet from CNN. So y'all love him, but I don't. He was the first person to tweet that I was at the rally, and anything that Minister Farrakhan said that was deemed anti-Semitic or hateful or whatever they felt about his speech, they attached me to it as if I said it. And so I still did not understand the level of seriousness, like what was happening. I still didn't understand it. I knew it wasn't a good thing, but I still didn't understand the magnitude until, my mother called me back like, well, told you not to go down there this time, but, and then I started to speak to other people, and immediately folks started distancing themselves from the Women's March because what they said to me when they met with me was very clear. You know what, Tamika, we understand your story since a child, because I was telling them, like, I went there because since a child, I've been going to. They said, oh, no, okay, we got it. We understand. It's white folk telling me, we got it, we understand. So all we need you to do is to say that you denounce him. That's it. All you got to do. Just simple. One sentence. We're going to put it out. They had the PR people ready. They had the pen and the pad. They said, this is what we just going to say. You denounce him and this and that. So I said, I need to talk to some folks because I know denounce, that word was just, it troubled me. And I was like, I don't know about that. So I'm going to talk to some people and get back to you. So then I went and talked to the wrong folk. And others. It wasn't just you. It was a number of people because it was serious. So we called the Black meeting to discuss what I should do.
Wait a minute. What is the black meeting?
So I can't tell y'all. But
okay, wait a minute. So wait a minute. Just
when y'all know.
So I know you know, but as a journalist, I want to pull it out of you. Is it about a bunch of black leaders coming together and you in the middle?
A number of black leaders and influencers and people, lawyers, just people to help me think through.
Did they pray with you first?
The best thing. Of course, they started meeting in prayer.
Okay.
They started meeting in prayer. And so I said, I didn't ask them, should I? And they told me yes or no. That's not what happened. I told them, I don't think this is right. I don't feel comfortable using this word. What do y'all think? And everybody on the call, with the exception of maybe 2 people that, whatever, said, let's just be clear about what it means when you say you denounce a black leader. You will never be able to come back from that. Never. You will always be known as the black person who, under pressure, especially from white folks, not Jewish people, white people, okay? Because it was a mixture of that. It wasn't just the Jewish community. There were white folks everywhere who were using it as a moment to try to put me in check.
And some certain kind of black people.
Well, those folks was just kind of like tacking on. But yeah, so we were real clear that word was not going to work, that word. But there was some things that he said that I didn't agree with. And it's just, I don't represent that. I don't agree with it. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to say, this was the plan. Right. So I'm going to say my truth, that I'm not going to denounce him, but I certainly don't agree with some of the things he said. And here are my thoughts. I thought they cared about my thoughts, April. I thought that what I think was important and who I am and what I do. I found out they didn't care about that at all. So once I said, this is what I'm going to say, they said, that's not acceptable. We specifically need you. And then I said, oh, I grew up in that moment. Right. Like as a leader, I grew up in that moment because I realized it wasn't about me. It wasn't even about him. It was about making sure that whatever I said would put me in a situation where I would no longer be who they saw me as.
Exactly.
Right? So they were trying to make sure that they created division between us because on social media, black folks was like, I'm going to just tell you this right here, right now, girl. You say denounce if you want to. Just go on and say it. Say it. Just say denounce. Just say it. They were like on me. So I stuck to my beliefs that was the wrong word to use. My family members, I have family members that the Nation of Islam has helped them. That they have gone from crackheads to taking care of their families and being outstanding members of the society. And I knew that to say that would hurt so many people.
But you didn't believe it anyway.
And though. I didn't believe, I didn't believe believe in denouncing a black leader. And who am I? Like, I'm just trying to get my, spread my wings in this movement. And I'm over here talking about I denounce people. Like, how dare you? And then I was challenged that if you're going to say you denounce somebody, and believe me, I don't want to tell y'all, I don't want to lie to y'all. I want to be very honest because this is what this whole book is about. I tried to work the words to make it work for me, right? I tried to come up with ways to say denounce without using the
loopholes. You tried to find some loopholes.
Yeah, I want to say enounce, if that's possible. Anything that I could come up with that would make it work, kinda, because they were coming after me in a way I had never experienced in my life.
It was hot at that moment.
It was a lot more than I was prepared to deal with, and so I decided that I was not going to do it. And it hurt a lot of people, because other people around me who had never met Minister Farrakhan, they didn't even go to the Savior's Day or anything else. They all got accused of being anti-Semitic just because then it became denounce Tamika. So they shifted from trying to force me to denounce the minister to now everybody around you needs to denounce you. And that went on for 2 years of them picking apart and trying to peel off relationships and force people to say things and do things to me. And it was a really, really hurtful time.
But you went and rebuilt yourself.
Yeah.
You went and rebuilt yourself by giving to others. Going back and putting a spotlight on the negatives that are impacting all of us in the community. How did you do that? What made you get so laser focused on the situations with Breonna Taylor? The fact that yeah.
You're speeding through it
Yeah.
because
No, I mean,
because
I am speeding
because we
through
got to
it,
go. But I'm
no,
saying,
I want to also get to questions as well.
Okay, no
and
problem.
I want to go back to
But-
I want to also go back to you having a baby.
right. Well, no, but the reason why my son, now let's get this, because this other conversation is more important. So I'm going to just say this real quick. My son is 25. He has a 2-year-old daughter who is my favorite person in the whole world. Her name is Blair Hunter, Blair Hunter Ryans. This book is dedicated to Blair. The first book was dedicated to my son because, if you read State of Emergency, and especially if you read this, you will learn that there was a big strain on my relationship with my son because I grew up in the movement and then I became a leader and was traveling all the time and I became more of a part of other people's families sometimes than my own. And my son suffered a lot. My parents took very good care of him, but nonetheless, our relationship was strained. And so my first book, State of Emergency, I dedicated to my son to say, this is what I've been doing. This is what I'm out here fighting for. It's all about you. And so he's my bestie, even though we're not speaking a little bit right now, but he's my bestie. And that's
But
my
you
guy.
also tell young women, don't do it alone.
Don't do it, baby, because his father was murdered when my son was 2. And nowhere in the cards did I ever think I was going to have to raise him by myself. That just wasn't a part of the 17-year-old dumb plan that I had to have a baby and start a family. I'd never thought that I would have to raise my son on my own. But I'm grateful for all the people who have, helped, but they were all voluntary support. They didn't have to do it. So so we leave that there. Please read the book. And that's that. But to go back to the other thing,
Yes.
because you can't skip over the stuff.
Let's get to the stuff.
Because you said when you rebuilt yourself, baby, we went down to the.
I want to add something to this because it was one of the worst experiences I witnessed, and I've witnessed a lot. They were calling her son's colleges, threatening to put him out, stopping her from earning a living. If she had speaking engagements, it would make the universities, if they had money, threaten them financially to cancel her appointments. It really was a dark, dark place. But it
So they
wasn't.
they not only impacted your way of life, your living, they impacted your child's living.
They tried to get the school that my son was at. He was in a military academy, and then he went into to Morehouse College, and they tried to use their endowment money as leverage to have my son expelled.
So they went after corporate America, who gave endowment money?
No. Families. You have big families that have money invested in these schools, and they would call and say, we're going to pull our money out if her child is there or if she goes to any of the events.
Wait a minute, black families?
No, they're not black families.
Endowment, a lot of white money.
Well, wait a minute. But you said the families that had kids there, they had the big money.
No, not just kids. There's endowments. There are people who put money in these schools. That's where they put their endowments, So you might have a big family named, Ryan family that has decided that they're going to adopt Morehouse or adopt the military academy that he was away at. And they would put $2, $3, $4 million in the school, and then they would use it as leverage to try to have my son removed. But it was against the policies of the school and blah, blah, blah. So they stood with us. But nonetheless, I was getting those phone calls as well as every single speaking engagement that I had. Now, you have to remember that prior to this, before all of this happened, this year that she said, this is not good, all of these people, this is the good year. But she didn't think this year was so great because they build you up to tear you down.
Yes.
And so during this year, I was going to white women's homes, speaking in the living room to 10 women for $25,000, telling them, y'all the problem. Y'all are the problem.
Wait, 10 women, you told y'all the problem. Did you explain why they
Of course. We had, and they understood. I'm telling you that was the benefits of it. That some of those rooms, those women said, we're going to organize, we're going to change, the way that we think. We're going to teach our children differently. In fact, I have some of them that are still my friends right now. These are people who invited us into their homes. But after this happened, even if they wanted me to come, even if they didn't, they were still cool with me. They couldn't be associated with me because their friends would disown them, So it was all a lot of casualties that went on around this whole scenario. Black folks walked away from me.
Yeah, but I want to also say that
some of them,
well, it's important. It was a deep, dark, long journey. And finally, I said to Tamika, I said, part of the problem is they think you're out there by yourself.
That happened.
I said, so we've got to get some voices behind you so they know that there's a group of powerful people who can fight back.
That's a very wise
and people like Mignon
conversation.
And a group of us got a letter together and we published it all over the place. And it changed things.
Yeah.
It calmed it down.
In fact, our just recent assistant director of the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, Kristen Clark, was the first person to start helping to, get people together to sign the letter.
Right.
And during her confirmation to become in her position at the DOJ, they asked her about me and her support for me. So they drilled her for hours.
The Republicans drilled her.
Yeah. She was drilled during her confirmation hearing about her support for me. And she still never, backed down. She never denounced me. She never separated herself from me or any of that. But they did use that. So that's the type of collateral damage that I'm talking about. But let's just tell the story, because if we don't tell it now, we may not be able to tell it.
Let's go through it. Yeah.
So there was a day, and I'm so happy that Mignon is here. There was this one day that this is the day that my son said, not today. I'm speaking today. I don't care what y'all tell me. It was so bad. It was so bad. And I don't know how to get it into your hearts and minds to understand it. It was so bad at this point. The darkest ever. That even people who I'm close to that you see me with today, I talk about this really, really painful moment between Linda Sarsour and me. Where, and she and I, that's my girl. We are super close, but we went through some stuff because in this particular moment, all the folks, the political operatives now, just to be clear.
This is Second Women's March.
The second Women's March. No, this is the third. This is the third. This is the third here in DC. Just to be clear, now we have people who have decided that the Women's March is going to become Bernie Sanders' machine. So that's the next political era that we got into.
It evolved from
Hillary
Hillary, and then black mothers who've lost children to fighting with you about that, and then now it's evolved into
we're gonna
progressive movement supporting Bernie Sanders.
And they didn't want you to be there,
right? And so then you said they didn't want. So then they wanted me out the way because I just didn't fit. It was just too much drama for what they were trying to do, and so when these political people came around, so when these political folks came around, they started to pick away at different individuals, and they were trying to tell Linda that she should, one, be a major surrogate in the Bernie Sanders campaign, which she ended up being that anyway, and she wasn't all caught up on that. So, but they thought she should be. And they also were trying to tell her that her future, Linda Sarsour, for anybody who doesn't know, and so they were saying her political future would be that she could run for office. And so, that's great. We want to see that happen even today. And so they were like, but your association with Tamika Mallory is problematic. And so while I was gone, I had gone back to New York, and everybody was in Washington, D.C. preparing for the next march. They worked together without Linda and Carmen and all the women that I'm close to, but they worked together and concocted this whole plan that I was going to go on the stage in front of the entire march, everybody out there, 1 million people, and say, I resign. So they wanted me to resign by myself. Up until that point, we were all on the stage together every single march and everywhere else. We walked from New York City to Washington, D.C. The pictures show us arriving together. We did everything together. But in this particular moment, they wanted to isolate me and have me to be the one to go and resign in front of the world. Okay. So I'm on the train coming down from Washington, D.C., and Linda calls me like she's shaking. You know, I can hear it in her voice. Never heard her. Linda, if you know anything about her, she's spicy. She's from Brooklyn. You know, she be like, I know what they talking about. That's how she talks all the time. And so but she wasn't spicy this day. She sounded beat down, and she was like, I don't know what to do. They're trying to tell me that I need to, to encourage you to resign from the stage alone. And I'm like, what? And so I'm on speakerphone on the train, and my son's like, he minds his business because it's the Women's March. He's on security. He pops up like, what? No, this is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. So I call this one here, and I say, these folks, I said, listen, this is their plan. They're telling me I need to resign from the stage. I know this is not a good idea. They're trying to ruin me. I just kept saying that to you. They're trying to ruin me. I don't know what to do. She said, I'll call you right back. And by the way, Cora Berry doesn't let you say bye. Like, she doesn't let you say, okay, goodbye. She just hangs up on you in the mid-sentence. So she just hung up in my face. And the next thing I know, she calls me back. By the way, she has Mignon on the phone who's driving, and Mignon does not really curse like that. Like, that's not a thing that she does. You know, she talk to you for an hour and never say hardly one curse word. And she starts cussing up a storm on the phone. They are enraged at this point because they're like, you cannot do that. We all know the reasons why. We don't have time to deal with it tonight. So I kept saying on the phone, they said, they gonna do this. They gonna leave the march. They're gonna separate themselves, and they gonna do this to me. And they, baby, I was daying down all these people and what they gonna do. So Cora Berry says to me, "What time does the train get to DC?" So I said, let's say 2:00. She said 2:00. And what's the hotel where you all are? I said, so-and-so. She said, okay, don't worry. I'll see you over there. So I'm like, oh, shoot.
What I did, two things. I called the mayor, got the green room reserved for us across from Freedom Plaza.
But that was different. That wasn't yet. You did that for the march. But this day, you came to the hotel.
The hotel. Yeah. Well, I did do both those things.
Did. Right. So,
but I gathered. Yeah, I did both those things.
Right.
I called my people.
She called her people. Okay.
She called.
And we went to the meeting at the Mayflower.
She called Bishop Daughtry and Melanie Campbell. And of course, Mignon was she done turned her car around from wherever she about to go to meet us at the hotel. So I get to the hotel, and I just want y'all to know at this point, again, we don't have time to talk about all the pieces, but I'm now taking like 20 Percocets and Xanax a day, all day long. Shaking, I'm 98 pounds. I'm just pitiful. I look cute because, we had the hair done and we had stylists and everything around. But baby, I was dying inside. And so I'm all like, they come in there and I'm just like, they said they over there. It's a group. I put they in the room. They walk past, it's winter. Coats flying, mink coats and fly stuff. They fly into this ballroom, and there's a group of women sitting there.
Ballroom. They got the chairs on top.
It's an empty ballroom. We just in there using this as a space for a meeting. And so this group of women, they're all sitting at the table. Linda's there. Bob Bland, who I have to give so much love to Bob Bland. She is a white woman, stood with us 10 toes down, even still to today. And she suffered a lot for being with us versus siding with other people. So a lot of love to Bob. And then there was some other women. Some of them still over there at the Women's March right now. And so they was all in there, and they sit down in this meeting. So we start the meeting out, and I say, well, they said that they're going to do this or that. And Mignon goes, damn it. Now, I want to know who is they. Get a paper and a pad. Did you say that, Mignon?
She said it now. I was there. She said, who is they?
She said, get a pen and a pad and write their name down every single day. Write it down on this pad. Because I'm tired of hearing they. I want to know. And so then the women start to explain all the issues. Oh, and Tamika and this and that. And we just haven't been able to recover. And the march is suffering so much. And we're losing partners by the day. And we just have to figure out a different way. And we thought that it would make sense if she would be the one, because we don't want the whole women's movement to fall apart and it end up on our backs and Tamika's back and da-da-da. And we just think she's the one that went to see Farrakhan. We didn't go to see Farrakhan.
So it's still once again about Farrakhan.
Okay, they were back to that. And so Bishop Daughtry looks at me and goes, "Is she they? Is she one of they?" and points at the lady and says, "She's they." And I tell her, "Yep, she's they." Mm-hmm. So they went on to say a bunch of things. Melanie Campbell, one of the most profound moments of the meeting. She said, look, I came over here from a meeting. I don't care. I don't want to hear no more about what y'all got to say. I'm busy. She said, but I'm going to tell you what. This is how it's going to go. If she resigns or even thinks she has to resign, the march was 2 days later. She says, if she thinks she has to resign, even if she thinks she has to, I'm going to shut this whole thing down. She said, I'm telling you the power of what I can do. And y'all know Melanie Campbell, she can do it. So she said, I'm going to shut it all. There won't be no women's march this year if y'all force this girl to resign. She said, and we tired of even hearing about y'all messing with her. So I wanted to stop, and I wanted to stop right now. So they got up, they grabbed their pocketbooks off the table, right? And they're getting ready to walk out the door. And this woman turns around, this right here. She's leaving the room. She's walking out this way. And she said, and if you don't know, Google us. Needless to say, I didn't have to resign.
That was in the room. They needed to know those weren't lights. I mean, Melanie Campbell could shut it down. Yeah. They needed to know who was in the room. I wasn't even playing. Just in case you don't know, we didn't make no introductions. Just Google.
That's right. So the power of Black women and the power of Black women standing beside, holding up, all around, kept you in one of the darkest moments. I mean, you've had moments. You've had moments. You've had many moments, but this was one of the darker moments that you've had. And then but because you have this circle, this magnificent circle of Black women and others, who support you and support your cause, how do you continue to move forward, to be the activist that you are? You've been through a lot, and you talked about the anxiety, the paranoia of the moments.
I mean, absolutely. Well, I would say this. I'm wiser, about how I operate in the world. And in terms of, I told you, we started it out that I talk a lot, but I learned when to speak, how to speak, who to speak to, when to use my voice and when to use silence. And I definitely didn't leave. I left the Women's March and I never looked back.
And turn around.
Who, my son?
Right here in the yellow, you.
So she got Until Freedom sweatshirt on.
Yes,
that's
she
right.
And she started a group. Turn around.
Until
Freedom.
Yeah.
So buy your Until Freedom sweatshirts, please. Yeah. Where do they find them?
You can go to untilfreedom.com. Toyera is here with me and with us tonight, and she's one of the Until Freedom Bold members that's been with us since the beginning. Of course, Toya Bond. So anyway, after the Women's March, I was really broken. I had to go to rehab. So that was a whole thing. I called her up one day and told her, listen, nobody knows about this, but I need to let you know that I'm addicted to pills, to prescription pills, and I need to check myself in. And she said, now, damn it, I've been through too much with you. I just can't believe you done went and did that too. She said, well, you're getting it all out. You're getting it out. You're doing everything. So that's it, So anyway, I went to rehab. I got myself together. When I came home, I didn't have anything. I had no money. I had no money at all, had no opportunities, nobody calling me. And so I didn't think I would do anything. And I definitely didn't want to start any more organizations because, the challenges I just told y'all of all the things. And Black folks have a whole different set of challenges that you have to face trying to lead in those spaces. And so I was like, I'm just not going to do anything. But a number of situations happened that caused us to stand up to the calling. And I think, for me, that's what I have found now, is that this is not just a passion for me. It is literally my calling, that even when I try to run from it, it just keeps pulling me back.
Can I just add one thing? She has grown. I mean, she has really grown. Matter of fact, I'll make it even deeper. She's grown up. Because when I first met her, she was yelling at me. I remember she was yelling at me so bad one day. I was I was talking like normal people. I was trying to teach her something, and she was way on the other side, and she got so mad at me. I'll do whatever I want to do. I'm going to vote for Trump. I said, oh, shit. I said, oh, Lord.
She's just a defiant character. That's from day
on
one.
This side of the road. You know what she talking about? I think when I speak, and that's all new stuff. That's all I want you to know. This is recent stuff.
I did not say I was going to vote for Trump. I didn't say I was going to. I said that I understood the people who were angry with the Democratic Party. And if they were going to vote for Trump, I understood, because I got so mad at her telling me what she was saying. Okay. But I end up doing my work right. So don't be doing that. I was
a Hillary person.
So, okay. So we this has been such a wonderful conversation. Yeah. But I know, right? We've got 2 questions, because we got to wrap this up. You got to sign books. But wait a minute, you got to sign some books. So, okay, yeah, it is 8:30. Who ministers to you? Really fast, synopsis of a synopsis.
My pastor, Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, at Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. He definitely pastors to me, and also my therapist, honey. He makes me pastor to myself. So yeah,
ain't nothing wrong with a good therapist in these times. Oh yes, mine's on speed dial. All right. How do you recommend we organize to move forward and fight in an impactful way?
Say that again. How do I move?
How do you recommend we organize to move forward and fight in an impactful way? I feel like we've lost our vigor to keep fighting.
Yeah. No, I don't think the vigor is gone. I think you need moments of rest and moments to strategize, moments to think through what are going to be our next steps. And I would say that one of the things we do, and there's so many things I could say tonight, but I think there's 2 things that's happening in this moment. People are deciding to take their money away from corporations that are supporting the rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I support that 100%. I'm involved in the boycott Target movement. People went there and believed that, they went into Target and thought it was their safe space for 20 hours. They'd be in there. Y'all know how much money y'all spent
Girl,
in there.
We love Target so much we even named it Target.
And how dare they? And, I had a woman on my stories in my comment section tell me that she closed her credit card at Target since all of this has been happening.
Did she cut it or did she close it?
She closed it. She closed her account. And that when they gave her the statement, she spent $46,000 in Target over the last 12 years. And she said to go in there makes her stomach sick just to think about it, because she cannot believe that company would turn on us and support this racist nastiness that's coming out of this administration. So I think that's one important thing that a lot of folks are doing and continue to do it from my perspective. But also, we have this one thing that we do really bad, that we wait until close to an election and do fire drill organizing. Everybody, who am I supposed to? Then I have people calling me all day from inside the booth. Who am I supposed to vote for? I'm not supposed to be on the phone.
You're not supposed to have a phone.
Exactly. That's what they be saying. I'm not supposed to be on the phone, but I need to know. Booth. I don't know who to vote for. We cannot do that. 2 years, you have midterm elections. First of all, somebody in here needs to run. Somebody in here needs to make a decision that you're going to run for office. And so get prepared in that way. Don't just wait for somebody to tell you who's going to run and who you're going to follow. You might be the person who can step up and do that work. And because we have to go back to some grassroots ways of organizing, we have to go back to raising money in the kitchen, in the house, in the basement, having house parties to help people raise the type of resources that they need to be able to lead their campaign.
Lift dinners.
But beyond, that's right, lift dinners. But what?
I'm just trying to tell Ramon to come over here.
Ramon. Okay. I know we're done, but I just have to leave this and last thing and to say to you all that we have to get ourselves in a posture from now that we are going to use our political power to fight back. And so let's not wait until 6 months before an election. Let us be very, very, very intentional about getting ready today. Ain't that right, Mignon? That's it. That's it.
Mignon, I love you. All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
So
Thank
listen, we have just had a wonderful session with Tamika D. Mallory. I live to tell the story, a memoir of love, legacy, and resilience. Please get this book. She's here to sign the copies, etc. This has been a wonderful evening. I never expected all this. But getting back to what Tamika just said about supporting those businesses that support us, I'm going to give a shout out to Brad and Lissa here at Politics and Prose.
Thank you all.
They really support, and they have had we've had a Black author series for the last couple of years here. They really are about the work. And so when we talk about supporting those who support us, let's support them by buying Tamika's book and anything else that you like to buy around here, because I'm telling you, they support us as well. Brad, thank you. Thank you, guys. I'll see you at the White House on TV.
Copies of Tamika's book are available at the checkout desk. Please form a line to the right of the table. She'll be happy to sign, and help our staff by folding up your chairs. Thanks again for coming, everyone.
I'm just trying to get a